Hi everyone. Hi. Oh, double. This is fine. Anyhow, hi there. What a way to start. Hi guys. Hi. Okay. So, a few disclaimers before starting with all of this. First, this game is not suitable for everyone. It has very dark themes and topics, and not everyone is able to handle them properly. So please, if you are sensitive and you cannot handle like dark media or like dark topics, serious topics, whatever, feel free to leave. Second, I have already played this game. I have completely I have 100%ed this game. So I know everything that's going to happen, but I really wanted to share the story with everyone. So yeah. That's okay, I'm strong. Let's go. And yes, you can see this is not the usual time in which I stream, but hope you guys are fine. I've seen a lot during her very long lifespan, so he can handle it. I mean, there was a scene in which I had to let the game on its own for a while because it was too much to take in. So it has some heavy stuff on it, so be careful. And yeah, once again, I have completed it, and I will be censoring everything that cannot be on YouTube for obvious reasons, because I don't want to get bonked. And for that, we have this very beautiful censor done by DMP, my amazing mod on Twitch. So yeah, let's go. I think I have explained everything. So let me pause the music. Oh, one final thing. I think my computer has some very weird connection issues, even though the other day when I was streaming in the other platform, in the purple platform, everything works just fine. But when I was trying to put the background music with like OBS and like the different preview for the stream and all of that, it wasn't working quite well. So hopefully we are not going to have like weird connection issues, because so far it's going well. So yeah, let's start. Can't you hear it nicely? Oh boy. you guys ready? We can adjust the volume as we go. Okay. Oh yeah, we have a tutorial. I'm going to skip this because I know how it works. Thank you for participating in Slow Damage. Before we begin, here are helpful explanation of the interrogation gameplay segment. You will need this information because interrogation can be tricky. I know! You will be able to skip this tutorial or... Oh no, I can't skip this! Oh no. During an interrogation, as you speak to your target, try to feel the euphoria gauges? I don't know how you pronounce it. I hear nothing. How about that? How about that? Like, the music here is pretty soft, I think. Doing so will progress the story. That's your ultimate objective in every interrogation. Yeah, sure. Sounds good now? Okay. Tell to him and to expose his secret. The text you see on your memo pad will serve as a hint, and accordingly to make progress in the interrogation. That being said, it's only a hint, and and isn't necessarily always the right choice. I can English. I should have also mentioned, and I should probably prepare this, and I will be following a guide, because at some parts the interrogation segments are a pain in the ass. So, and I want to unlock the true ending and like the final illustration at the end of everything on stream. So maybe for the first route, not, but along those sides I will be following a guide so we can have like a nice experience for the story. Depending on the flow of the conversation and your target's body language, you may want to take things in a different direction. Your choices will determine the outcome. How is it, guys? How is the volume so far? Hi, dude. Next, let's talk about the hourglass and the jacket lines. Is it me? Of this is this Comic Sans or like a cousin of the Comic Sans? This is not easy. The hourglass represents your target's euphoria's level. Fill the hourglass to the line at the middle and the sun will start glowing. This means you have achieved full euphoria. As you approach full euphoria, the red line will flash, letting you know you are almost there. The purple line at the bottom is the minimum baseline for euphoria. And the sun, if the sun should fall below this line, yeah, you get a bad ending, basically. It will result in a game over, so be careful. The sun will glow to warn you if you start to get too close. I'm sorry, I'm not the best at reading English out loud, but whatever. The good thing is that most of the lines are voiced, so you guys have to read with me, okay? I'm not the only one that is going to be reading. The yellow line represents the target madness, in other words, their emotional wounds. As their wounds are ripped open, madness will increase. At the blue line, you will achieve full madness. As you approach, it will start glowing. At full madness, yeah, I don't like that, the world will start to crack, like so. So to repeat, at full euphoria, the sun will glow. At full madness, the hourglass will crack. And as the gun closes, madness will decrease. Achieving full euphoria will complete the interrogation, but full madness will lead to other paths and affect the ending. Route branching only occurs during important story scenes, but the result of each interrogation will impact the euphoria and madness of the ones that follow. This is looking like way more complex than it actually is. High Euphoria will grant a Euphoria bonus. Low Madness will inflict a madness penalty. And High Madness will grant a madness bonus. This concludes the Euphoria and Madness tutorial. More like you need a slow read. Shut up, Ethan. To check your objectives, move the cursor to the right hand edge of the screen. That way you won't forget.
No.
I cannot read like Towa. You're the vampire everyone is talking about, right? No, I'm not a vampire. During the integration, you can respond with negative or positive answers. Positive answers are negative. Passive answers are negative, while more assertive answers are positive. This decision will affect your target's euphoria and madness. Their status is displayed on the bottom of the screen. Yeah. Kind of difficult to read it when the explanation is on top of it. So choose carefully to raise their euphoria. As for raising their madness, why don't you give it a try? Press him.
ネガティブに。本当に
Even though you crave blood. There you go. Here's where you will use inspiration gained by talking to people in the explanation segments. We will talk more about exploration later. Yeah, there is a lot to this game. Using your inspiration will impact your target's euphoria and madness. In fact, it gives you a bigger boost compared to negative and positive answers. Additionally, inspiration has a few different patterns. Two choice answers A or B, sequential questions A to B, and even two choice answers A or B that lead to sequential questions A to B, B to A. Yeah, I use a guide for most of these. Brain too small. If this all sounds confusing, don't worry, it sounds confusing. Use your inspiration whenever you see something you want to ask more about. And unlike negative or positive, you can always choose not to use your inspiration at all. Sometimes the best option is to say nothing at all. Now let's try it out. You must be miserable. It must be excruciating for you. Shut up. Now let's go over special objectives. See how the hourglass is painted over black? This tells you that euphoria is not the goal this time. When the hourglass is black, madness is the goal. And on rare occasions, the goal may be to avoid full madness. You will have to adjust yourself depending on the circumstances. In situations where euphoria is not the goal, don't let the sun fall too low or it's game over. This time the aura has been repainted white. This means the goal has changed back to full euphoria. As you can see, the hourglass may offer hints about the objective. If you feel the euphoria gets within a specified number of turns, wait, you have to do it in an amount of turns? I guess so. I have played this game and I didn't notice that, even though I had to read this when I was playing the first time. Anyhow. You can use the clues acquired in the story to rip open your target's secret scars. Oh! I think I skipped that. Anyway, but be careful, the wrong choice may lower the euphoria gauge. I don't know how to read that. If you haven't reached full euphoria once, it's time to change. It's time to choose a clue. Game over. And it's time to choose a clue. Game over. Okay. And if you fall below a euphoria line, that's game over too. Now use a clue and see if you can open this man's secret scar. Eee. This animation is so cool. Is every game over a unique scene? Only is in some situations. If you are doing... There are different interrogations through the game, and if you fail in those, you get a plain game over. But at some occasions, if you fall, like if you fail, you get the bad ending. So, depends. This concludes the interrogation tutorial. If you could ever like a refresher, check the interrogation section of how to play. Without further ado, welcome to Slow Damage. Let's go! I have to read a lot now. There is a lot of explanation about the setting. Oh boy. The human heart is soft, like a fistful of fine sand. So, you must be very careful with how you handle it. I'm not quite sure how to describe it. I never imagined my wish could come true. You have made me so squishy. Happy. It started to rain. Mindlessly, I moved my brush. The pattern of the rain made with the faint scratching of paint spread across the canvas. The sound slowly filled my empty head. Here he is, the boy! It felt like my insides were melting in the heat of the dark desire I had just harvested. Oh yeah. Yeah. If he's painting, yeah, that's why. Okay. But before that feeling faded away entirely, I needed to get it out of my system. I needed to capture it on the canvas. A bit high, okay. How it's now? How about now?
埋め立て地の老朽化が深刻になっています。新公民の A 特区はかつての高里組の構想で廃墟となり、それ以来整備が行われていません。
おい。おい。
Guys, it's time for you all to read, okay?
起きろ。いつまで寝てるんだ。
Come on, it's not that much. Make the effort. It's a visual novel for a reason. You guys have to read it too. Also, enjoy the original like voices and like voice acting. It's very good. A familiar deep voice spoke into my ears, moving me back to the waking world. Was it morning or closer to noon, or was it later than that? I would sleep like the dead, and my perception of time was shot. I lifted my head from the sofa where I lay face down. My eyelids were practically glued shut. Blinking, I forced them open. What time had I gone to bed last night? Definitely sometime past midnight. At some point, I had passed out on the sofa.
もう昼だぞ。出勤時間はとうに過ぎてる。
At this, I explicitly pushed myself up, pushed myself up into a sitting position. Taco! The other man peered close at me, exuding orange smoke. Exuding orange smoke. This man was Murase Takuma. Taku. Or Taku for short, yeah.
お前な、常々思ってるんだが、本当に働く気があるのか？
ああ。
おい、ちゃんと目を見て返事しろ。
I looked up into Taku's reproachful eyes. His brow was frowned deeply.
あるって。
As I spoke, I grabbed a pack of cigarettes off the coffee table, pulled one out, and put it between my lips.
あのな、悠長にタバコを吸ってる暇があるなら、とっとと起きて支度しろってんだ。
Right as I lit my cigarette and took my first slow drag, Taku reached out and ruffled my hair. Oh. I shook my head slightly to nod his hand away.
ったく。
Taku let out an exasperated sigh. His other arm carried a stack of clean clothes. He was the sort of busybody who could periodically come into my apartment to clean and do laundry. Male wife. According to him, it could turn into a pig otherwise, and he was correct.
ここに置いておくぞ。
He set the clean laundry on the bed, then turned to the door.
しかしこの部屋、ほんと油臭いよな。
I gotta say, this room really reeks of paint fumes. Look at that, boys! Look at how Towa lives. This man, he clearly needs some help. It's so messy. It looks nice. Are you sure?
今更だろ。
まあ、別に嫌いじゃないがな。あ、それとお前、またテレビつけっぱなしだったぞ。いい加減ちゃんと消してから寝ろよ。
多分な。
多分ってなんだ。それじゃ、下で待ってるぞ。早く来いよ。
And with that, he left. The paint smell could be traced to the scarf I would pile over in the corner, a bunch of canvases, a slab-task collection of paints, a well-worn palette, and a handful of brushes. A forest of rectangular canvases, a disorganized pile of paints, all worn-out palettes and brushes. But the fumes didn't bother me, or maybe I was just used to them by now. Hey, here is one of the reasons why I cannot stream this on the other platform. I leaned back against the sofa, cigarette between my lips, forcing my fuzzy brain to think. What happened yesterday? I beat back at John. My body felt like lead. Hey. Oh, that's right. Yesterday I would gone out late at night to drink at the usual place, then some random started talking to me. I was totally blitzed, so when he invited me to leave, I jumped at the chance without even looking at him. Then he led me into a narrow alley, and for some reason we were both so horny we started screwing right there. He doesn't have the best life. Even I couldn't tell you why I was so worked up. Now my back aches from being slumped out against everyone. Thanks game for being very descriptive. This guy wasn't much of a Lil. We haven't even started yet. Just you wait. How old was he? 20? No, maybe early 30s. Regardless, I must have accidentally taken too many pills when I got home because I slept like a dog. It was Taku who prescribed them to me in the first place, since I always had been kind of an insomniac. On the nights I didn't take them, I could either have terrifying nightmares or I would drift in and out of sleep all night long, sometimes until noon. Last night I was so drunk I couldn't remember how many I would taken. Nothing new though. I knew you weren't supposed to take medicine with alcohol in your system. As a result, I always felt like sick. Taku kept telling me to knock it off, but I had no plans to stop. I pinched the stick between my fingers, drew myself sleeve to my nose, and took a whiff. It reeked of pus, smoke, and sweat. Stinky. I knew Taku wanted me downstairs ASAP. I read that as ASAP. Probably it's the Spanish pronunciation. No idea how you pronounce that in English. Doesn't matter. But I needed a shower. Last time I went to work in this state, the elderly patients all give me dirty looks. I wonder why. Waiting for more sleep. Cigarette in mouth, I rose to my feet and stretched, but then I became aware of my empty stomach. With the even realization that my body was hungry, I slid my gaze over the table and floor. What I thought wasn't food but booze. I seemed to remember leaving a half-empty bottle somewhere around here, but couldn't find it. Did Taku move it? If so, he probably put it back in the fridge, but to me getting stuff out of the fridge was too much effort. If you offered me food or alcohol, I will take the booze without hesitation. Food never interested me much. As you can see, he has a very healthy lifestyle. With nothing to drink, my only option was to take one last drag, then crash my cigarette in the ashtray. As I exhaled grey smoke, I struggled into the bathroom and stepped into the shower stall. Intro time! I love this song so much. I love it so much. 10 out of 10. Or listen off loop for weeks. I have done that. Totally recommend. Okay, here we go with information down. Where is my mouse? Okay, here. Tokyo. In the year 2020 something. After Japan went to great lengths to host the Olympic Games, the international sporting event ended in record-breaking failure. Burdened with massive debt, the nation was plunged into economic insecurity. The poverty rates, which have been slowly growing since the late 2010, showed no signs of abating. I'm so bad at reading numbers, I'm sorry. Then, starting in the year 2020, the gulf between the rich and the poor widened drastically. Young people in particular were especially impoverished, and the underemployment rate soared to more than 100% for both men and women. Even with a full-time job, they knew they would be overworked and underpaid. Thus, the suicide rate stood up, also increasing exponentially among young people for the first time ever. Homelessness and crime rates. The nation of Japan was visibly heading into decline. This was a major recession on a historic level. I told you, it kind of felt too real. This one outlined was Shinkomi. Previously called Tokyo Waterfront City, this was the only part of the country where casinos were legally allowed to operate. As a result, it was re-established as a special economic zone. But the government in famous Casinoville received criticism on all sides. At the start of construction, they hired construction the Takasato Gumi was suspected of reading bids for the contract. After a tremendous struggle, they eventually settled on a more realistic proposal. The bill would only legalize small-scale public casinos in specific areas. When the dust settled, all that remained was a steel-framed monument of a vacant lot and a community of prostitutes and vagrants. But then there came a turning point. The leader of the Takasato Gumi, Takasato Ryojiro, offered to buy the whole thing and take over operations. Everyone assumed it would end in failure, but as it turned out, he received a great deal of funding behind the scenes. In this dark era, the people wanted someone to change things, so they clung to the first ray of hope they thought they saw. Plagued with crashing national debt and dying economy, the government had no other option. A short time later, after an agonizing debate, the Takasato Gumi was given full control of Shinkomi development and operations. None opposed the subsequent amendment to the casino bill, which slashed the public-only requirement. I think I read that sentence wrong. A year later, the city was overflowing with people in pursuit of liberty and money, lured in by the all-encompassing resort facilities. International tourism increased by 60%, and so Shinkomi became known as Japan's biggest casino resort. Office building and recreational attractions sprang up one after another, creating a massive entertainment district. Next came the residential and business districts, and after that Shinkomi became the one bright spot amid the devastating depression. Meanwhile, it required a certain amount of aggressive force to control a world full of unspoken rules. As Shinkomi brought Japan's economy back to life, the Takasato Gumi began to expand their control. Sorry, I'm so bad at reading, I'm doing my best. Eventually, when the tacit threats stopped working, the government designated Shinkomi as a special administrative region. After that, the Takasato Gumi essentially had their own little nation that they could govern as they saw fit. Towa is visiting. But this slapdash prosperity was never destined to last long. Everything began to decline at a slow, leisurely pace. Now, more than a decade later, in the year 2000 and whatever, the generation born during the decline of the early 21st century were henceforth called hapless children. Day in and day out, they traveled to the business district either to forget their chronic depression or earn enough money to eat that day. The casino industry was still thriving, but the bubble had burst. And as income started to decay, criminal activity became more common. Nevertheless, with one last set of hope in their hearts, they lingered in this lawless town. That was too much reading, I'm so sorry. It's no use. This just isn't enough. Not anymore. Chapter 1. Phrase. Hey, let's go. Finally. On a quiet corner of a residential block, Murase Clinic stood concealed among the rows of private houses. This tiny clinic first opened 7 years ago, privately owned and operated by Murase Takuma himself. It's so weird to read his name as Takuma when I'm so used to just call him Taku. It's so weird. Specializing in the internal medicine, dermatology and gastroenterology, Dr. Murase had an outstanding reputation that attracted patients not just from the local neighborhood, but workers from the business district too. This clinic opened its door somewhat late at 10 a.m. From 1:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. Taku would take a long lunch, and then after he got back, he would stay open until 1 a.m. Okay, Sam, bye-bye. These unusual hours were dearly appreciated by night workers who couldn't find time to go to the doctors otherwise. I had a part-time job here at this clinic. Que looks interesting. I'm glad you think that. And just you wait. In exchange for long wages, Taku let me In exchange for low wages, Taku let me sleep in the apartment upstairs on the top floor of the clinic. Below that, the second floor was home to the secondary medical ward, full of hospital cots. The primary medical ward was found on the first floor next to the exam room. As for Taku himself, he didn't live here at the clinic. I never asked for this job or this rented room. It was all his idea. He wanted me to build character or something. That was why he never fired me, no matter how badly I overslept. Conversely, you could say he didn't put any stock in me whatsoever. I didn't fight it since it would only create more of a hassle, but I wasn't interested in improving my life. If he got sick of me and threw me out of the street, then so be it. I felt no fear towards the future. Not because I couldn't picture it, but because I had no real sense of urgency. I knew it could all work out regardless. Or maybe I just didn't have anything left to lose. As soon as I walked out of the barroom, a yaw escaped my lips. I hadn't bothered to dry my hair. Sleepily, I scanned the room with one blurry eye. On a whim, my gaze settled on the pocket watch hanging on the easel in the corner of the room. I couldn't remember when or where I got it, but Ray put it on the easel after he found it lying around somewhere in my room. That was a few years back. The watch itself was stopped, but I didn't feel like winding it, so it was basically just there for decoration. I mean, it's pretty beautiful. I would like to have that. I think they sold that as real merch, I think. Not sure though. Instead of the non-functional pocket watch, I looked up at the wall clock. It was just past 9:50 a.m. I'm going to read the hours like that. I'm so sorry. If I didn't hurry down to the first floor, Taku was going to come raging up here any minute now. I got dressed and left the apartment without bothering to lock it behind me. Then I walked to the elevator and pressed the down button. There was nothing in the apartment worth stealing anyway. I rode the elevator down to the first floor, then headed to the waiting room. Sitting at the reception desk where I worked was an uptight guy by the name of Arimura Tsukasa. Arimura. Hi there. When he spotted me, he rose to his feet and left the desk. The look at his face screamed, "You are late." Yes. Technically, I was supposed to be covering the reception desk, but Arimura just have come in to cover for me. This happened on occasion, and that occasion happened a lot. Yeah. An aura of faded blue shot around Arimura. I call this colorful aura smoke. Apparently, only I could see it. Each person has their own unique color smoke, which shifted depending on their mental state. The most obvious things happen when someone was angry. The color would get muddy. I couldn't see my own smoke, however. No clue when I first started seeing it. From what I could remember, I used to think everyone could see it. Once I found out that wasn't the case, I stopped telling people about it. Was it some kind of superpower? Probably not. More than likely, it was proof that something was wrong with me, like hallucination. Hence, I generally didn't give it much thought.
Yo.
I called out to Arimura in spite of his resting bitch face. Okay. He was the most reliable nurse cleaning had. Whenever his shift ended, he would go downtown to go drinking at a gay bar. Apparently, I wasn't his type.
Towa さん、遅れて悪かったって。
You don't sound very convincing, boy.
いえ、
それは今更なのでもういいです。それより自分宛ての荷物はちゃんと持って行ってください。いつも置きっぱなしじゃないですか。
ああ。
He doesn't care.
放置するなら処分しますから。
All mail delivered to the clinic was taken to the staff room. Arimura was in charge of sorting it. Sometimes I could buy art supplies or books online, but other than that, I never got any packages. So if I receive anything else in the mail, oh, I just assumed it was junk and didn't bother collecting it.
それでいいよ。
His eyes narrowed even further, but I ignored him and stepped into the staff room. The reception desk and staff room were divided by a single curtain. I pushed past it and arrived at the reception desk interior. Arimura gave me a dirty look and walked off down the hall. Go work. Come on. You only have one work. At least try. From here on, I will spend the next few hours bored out of my school. The clinic was quite peaceful and utterly devoid of stimulus. I called the next person up to pay their bill. Then I saved their medical exam card, insurance card, estimized bill, and prescription up to the counter. Etimize? Etimize? I don't know how to read that. Robotically, I proceed the payment. Then, beating back another yawn, I called for the next patient to proceed to the exam room. First scene done, let's go. Item side. Thanks. Today my shift ended in the afternoon, so I headed back to my apartment. Sorry. I lingered lazily on the sofa for a while. Then, after the clinic closed, I headed back downstairs. No real reason, I was just bored of my apartment.
今日も働いたな。
As I sat stand on the beds in the empty waiting room, Taku walked out from the hallway, his orange smoke hanging over him. Stretching the crack of his bones? His old... His... I shouldn't say that when I have the same problem ever. Anyways. Stretching his arms up, he turned his head from side to side, cracking his neck so loudly I have wondered if he broke something. Shrimped out, yes, pretty much. I didn't mean a word of it though. He just nodded at me.
寝坊常習犯に言われたくないな。
ちゃんと働いただろ。
Yeah, you did the bare minimum. Let's go.
そう言いたければ朝はちゃんと起きろよ。俺。
He pulled something out of his coat pocket and tossed it at me. I caught it and looked down. It was a can of coffee.
入れてくれないのか？
お前なんか缶コーヒーで十分だ。
That being said, he was still treating me to a free drink as a token of his appreciation. Taku bought canned coffee in bulk and kept the staff room fridge stocked at all times for this exact reason. Sometimes when he was feeling up to it, he would make fresh coffee instead, but for the most part he took the faster, easier option.
備品の発注と掃除終わりました。
Right as I cracked open the can, the exam room door opened and a baby voice rang out. Ray! It was Izumi Ray, one of the other part-timers. His main job was at a bar called Roost, but since they didn't open until 5 p.m., he would often pick up shifts at the clinic to fill the time. Evidently, he wasn't working at Roost tonight since he was still here this late. Our clinic employed 2 nurses, 4 part-timers and 1 doctor.
おう、ありがとな。
Smiling, Taku looked over at Ray and raised a hand in acknowledgement.
全然いいのよ、気にしないで。
お疲れ。
But as soon as Ray laid eyes on me, he stormed right over to me.
ちょっと。あんた今日も寝坊したでしょ。有村君に仕事を押し付けて。
I love Ray so much. I love him so much.
少しだけだろ。
開き直らないの。寝坊は寝坊よ。
He put his hands on his hips and scolded me like he was my mom. But his mouth was bright yellow, and since it wasn't sweating, I could tell he wasn't really that angry. Born to a Japanese father and a English mother, he had a well-sculpted face. Did the stream just flash or something like that? I have the preview open and I saw a few black screens out of nowhere. What was that? Did you guys saw that? Or was it just me? Because of this, he was really popular with our patients, particularly women.
もうあんまり迷惑かけないようにしてよね。
Yeah, it flashed back. I
有村
don't
君
know.
とっても真面目に働いてくれてるんだから。
That's weird because in OBS it was fine and the game and the screen overall it's all fine. I guess it's only like for YouTube. That's so weird. Sorry, Ray, I talk over you. Everyone, I'm gonna this. Okay.
そうだそうだ。もっと言ってやれ。
Taku leaned back against the resistance counter and cracked open his can with a smirk. Believe it or not, he was pretty well liked too. Hiding beneath that staffing and post-work fatigue was a mildly heft face. I don't know what that means. Let's move on. Plus, the painters all praised his warm bedside manner. To them, his messy hair and stubble was ragged rather than lazy. Weird how this somehow never applied to me.
で、そういや有村君は帰ったか？
とっくの昔に。
そうか。今日はいつもより長く入ってくれて助かったよ、レイ。ありがとな。
どういたしまして。お礼はスイーツでもいいのよ。
ファミレスのパフェでいいか？
OK。
As I watched the conversation from the sidelines, my gaze drifted to Taco.
疲れてるな。
ん？
疲れてる。顔が。
おう。
Grimacing, he touched his cheek and sighed. Granted, he always looked tired, but lately it was more noticeable than ever.
何？疲れてるの？寝不足？
それもあるが、気疲れだ。
気疲れ？
He allowed an even bigger sigh.
うちの患者さん、夜の仕事についてる人も多いだろ？
そうね。昼間はお年寄りや子連れの人もいるけど、深夜になると男女関係なく夜の仕事の人が増えるわね。
ま、その中には事情があって働いてるって人も結構いてな。診察中に悩みを相談されることもあるわけだ。
悩みって、ああ、メンタル面でってことか。
そうだ。 家庭の事情だったり、友人や知人には簡単に話せないような重い話だったりな。心の方は専門外だから治療できんが、相談があった時はできる限り話を聞くようにはしてる。無下にするわけにもいかないし、それで患者さんの心が少しでも軽くなるならいいだろう。
そうね。
で、悩み相談ってのは前からちょくちょくあったんだが、どうも最近そういう患者さんが多くてな。
多い？増えたってこと？
More problems than usual.
うん。少し前までは1週間に1人2人くらいだったんだが、明らかに増えてる。それに、
He seemed to remember something. He stopped short and looked away.
切羽詰まった患者さんが増えた気がするんだ。話をしているうちに泣き出したり、いきなり声を荒げたりとかな。
たまに診察室から怒鳴り声が聞こえてくるけど、あれってそういうことだったんだ。
できることならメンタルケアもしてやりたいとは思うんだが、そうもいかないからな。ただ、感情が高ぶってる状態の患者をないがしろにするわけにもいかんだろう。
そうね。最近診察時間がやけに長い患者さんがいるなぁとは思ってたけど。
どう対応したらいいものかってずっと考えてるんだが。
I mean, the city they live in. Well, we saw the explanation earlier. Not the best place, honestly. Rubbing the back of his hand, Taku left out other sign of the night. But really, was it any wonder that more and more of his patients were starting to have mental health problems? Yeah, what I just said. Over the past decade, Japan's younger generation has been plunged into extreme poverty. A few years ago, you would see people on TV yelling about the 2038 demographic inability to save money or find a stable career, but now it was even worse. This day, you saw women pull up in their underwear on the sidewalk while men started fights and mug strangers. Young teenagers would dress in slutty clothes to work the corners. Compared to 10 years ago, there were a lot more murder cases, and many of them were either unsolved or dropped. The cops were useless too. They couldn't keep up with the growing number of criminals. But of course, here under the Takasato Gumista, the Shinkomi police were basically just for decoration. The gig economy had become commonplace, so jobs were scarce. The cost of living was high, and wages were at all-time low. These things all helped drive people to rock bottom, where they had no choice but to keep living. The nation of Japan was seeing povertization on a level that a few decades ago was never seen outside dystopian fiction. Shinkomi had a disproportionate large number of hospitals, possibly in correlation to the crime levels. Naturally, there were plenty of unlicensed or back alley doctors to be found here. These days, hospital probably had to serve as a battered woman's shelter on top of everything else. Like Taku said, doctors had as one duty to help people, and people here needed help, not just with their bodies, but with their minds too.
つまり心を病んでるやつが多いってことだろ。
Taku and Ray both turned to look at me.
その言い方、俺は好かんな。
別に間違ってない。
I downed my coffee and set the empty can to the floor and rose to my feet.
どこ行くの？
散歩。
ちょっと。
But I ignored Raid's frustrated retort, walked to the front door, and left the building. Exhaling white fog into the cold air, I reached into the back pocket of my pants and pulled out my cigarettes. I could forgotten to grab a coat, but I was too lazy to go back and get one, so I figured I would be fine. As I walked down the dirty sidewalk, I put a cigarette between my lips and lit it. In Sincome, the nights were long. If anything, it had only just begun. Like usual, I stumbled around town on a whim looking for a one-night stand. Not because I was especially lonely or sought another human warmth or anything like that. I felt no love, no passion, no desire. Yeah, we kind of saw that. All of my emotion had rushed over. Sex was just the only way I could feel anything at all. He doesn't have the best life, to say it in a way. Well, not the only way. The other way was through violence, fist fight. But what I wanted was an all-out brawl enough to kill me. Towa, why are you like this? And I knew there were very few people in this world capable of that. Most people I thought had held back, even just was constantly afraid to harm me beyond a certain threshold. Well, adjusted, man. Sure, man. Thus, there was no point in looking for someone special. Generally speaking, I felt very little in the way of standard human emotions. No idea when it started, but I probably wasn't born like this. Sometimes I got irritated when people nagged me too much, but for the most part, I held it in. Other people seemed to see me as an unfeeling monster, but in the rare moments that I was overcome with powerful impulses, then I was. But in the rare moments when I was overcome with powerful impulses, when I was raped or beaten, that was when I truly felt joy. You sure you mean that? Alex, you sure you mean that after this sentence? Are you sure? And while many were too scared to enact violence directly, there were plenty in this town that loved to hurt people on the inside. So yeah, I had a lot of hookups. If you asked me if I liked it, I would say yes. But I wasn't interested in learning about the person attached to the dick, nor did I feel like telling them about me. I just wanted them to use me like a factory, then throw me away. Yeah. Well adjusted, man. That was the promise I was willing to make. Is Broken Solos my messages? I can read them though. I don't know if they are. Maybe they are not showing, but I can read them. The next day, I didn't work at the clinic, so I slept in until noon. Did you see the one with the F word? I did not. Maybe it's something that you do that's on its own, because I don't see it on the chat that may have the blocked messages. So no, I didn't see that. Maybe you will have to censor it somehow. That's weird. I awoke lying on my back on the sofa. I sat up, lit a cigarette, and took a drag. In the end, I never did find a hookup last night. Instead, I picked up a random bar, had some drinks, and went home. All in all, it was a pretty tame night, considering the previous night when I drank until I blanked out. Because of that, I felt lackluster. I guess he's not very happy with that. Anyhow. I took my time enjoying my cigarette, gazing at the TV that had been left on all night. Then suddenly a news channel flashed up on the screen. Takasato's Gumi's leader, Takasato Ryojiro, 81, died of heart failure.
高里組の組長である高里隆二郎さんが心不全のため亡くなりました。
Está muerto.
自宅にて息を
He dead. My eye was locked on the white text. The leader of the Takasato Gumi was dead. But then the surprise fate. For the record, I had been informed that this man was my biological father. I cannot read anyhow. My mother was his mistress. In other words, was his illegitimate son. That said, I had next to no memory of being around him. Frankly, I could only vaguely remember what he looked like. So I didn't have much of an emotional response to the news of his passing. Just some sort of, oh, he died. I looked away from the TV and leaned back against the sofa. Just then I heard a muffled buzzing noise and realized the cell phone on the far edge of the sofa was ringing. Sakaki. I kept it up and looked at the screen. Sakaki was calling. I could also see a series of notices that indicated he has been calling for a while. He probably wanted to talk about my father, and if so, I wasn't interested. I dropped the phone back onto the sofa without answering it. Cigarette dangling from my lips, I stared up at the ceiling. I had no real plans for today. Maybe I would wander around downtown. With that thought, I took a long deep drag. And I will now drink water. Aye. Extending small, I crossed my cigarette in the ashtray. Then I rose to my feet and pulled on my coat. Now then, where to go? Hi tutorial. Pardon the interruption. We will now briefly explain the exploration segments. Please bear with us for just a few moments. When objectives pop on the screen, you know it's time for exploration. This time, the objective is go somewhere. During explorations, you are free to plunge the city of Shinkomi. I think some dialogue just skip on its own. Well, it's a tutorial. As long as this doesn't happen during the main story, it's fine. When you arrive at the correct destination, exploration will conclude and the story will progress. Again? Or you can explore the city first before you continue. What was that? You are free to play however you see fit. To check your objectives, move the cursor to the right-hand edge of the screen. In this case, the objective is go somewhere, so let's move this party somewhere else. Okay. And you can see this is the exploration part of the game, and this is where we have to gather inspiration and all of that to use later on interrogations. So this is basically the mechanics of this game. And there you can see, like on this side, might find something. I have no business here, and guess I will make it a pit spot. This is like clues about you maybe getting extra information, but as I have learned, you cannot always trust this. It's better to visit everywhere, every place, even if it's maybe like I have no business here, even if it's empty, just in case. So yeah, let's move on. This is Mura's screen. Taku started it up 7 years ago. For a small private urban city, it has a good record. Yeah, we have already read this earlier, so I'm going to skip it. We already know. Just then, I sent someone's games I looked over. I thought I saw something slip into the shadow of a building. Not gonna lie, I'm mostly curious to see how everyone's story is going to be. That's the whole point of this game. That's the whole point of this game, Alex. And this is why I keep playing. Because, oh boy, you have no idea. Oh boy. Or was my mind playing tricks on me? Hi! If you encounter someone during explorations, try talking to them. Talking to them may give you inspiration. Let's try it out. It's you. You are Towa, right? When you select talk, the hourglass and jack lines will appear. This is a simplified version of interrogation where you will respond with negative or positive answers. For refreshes of interrogation, check the interrogation section of how to play. On the right hand edge of the screen. Oh yeah. This is something that you don't see on actual interrogation parts. You only see this when you are exploring. You can see it says Euphoria Up. At a real interrogation segment, exploration chats show the results of negative and positive answers in advance. Euphoria up means it will raise the euphoria gauge. So if you see this up, this will fill up, basically. And euphoria down means it will lower the euphoria gauge. Now see the what should I do text at the bottom of the screen. If you choose to respond accordingly, you will gain new inspiration. Some targets don't care which way you respond. Gaining inspiration is never guaranteed, so feel free to explore every inch of the city. Now let's try it out. And now it's when we save, just in case we make a mistake, because I forgot to open the guide. So, yes. Or maybe I should make a quick save. Yes, just in case. And too loud is the L. Okay. Positive. So what if I am? You are Towa, right? And the reason I know is because he knows, right? He? Who? I'm going to surpass him, or my name isn't Inada. There is no inspiration to be gained this time around. I knew, but just in case. For the future times, I should open the guide badly. Some expression segments offer it while others don't. You will be able to tell the difference based on the objective. Red text means a special segment. It's a special segment where no exploration is available. But blue text means inspiration is out there, just waiting to be found. I don't know why they say text. They should just say the color on top of the text, but whatever. You will see blue text most often. Red text is less common. But because this is a tutorial, it counts as a special exploration. This concludes the exploration tutorial. We are free. Now you can go back to enjoying slow damage. Do you say something more? Or are you just standing there laughing weirdly? What's the matter? Nothing. Alright then. Anything else? Nah, it loops. Residential area. To master conversation at works, they are doing their best. This is the district E residential area. If you live in Senkomi, chances are high your apartment is in District E. District E is full of skyscrapers. I think it's the first time I properly read that word aloud. All of them high-rise condo buildings. It's an attempt to make the most living space out of a critical limits land area. The downdraft from all the skyscrapers created strong winds in the area. Not to mention the majority of these buildings aren't up to code, so if we get hit with major earthquakes, they will probably collapse. I forgot that detail, so it's not the best place in many ways. Okay, but the residents of District H choose to leave it here anyway. Someone concerned with safety couldn't dare live in Sinkomi in the first place. I guess he's right. And yeah, you can see no one is here, so we can talk with anyone. But the music is very chill. This is the main district at the center of District E. The main street. I'm sorry, I cannot read properly. For the most part, residents of District E pass through here to do their shopping. With all the dinners, convenience store, discount store, and drugstore packed in like sardines, it's easy to find what you need. The streets are busy, though not as packed as District D. Everywhere you look, there is people working or people getting wasted. Okay. The traffic lights changed and the crowd started walking. But just then I spotted a familiar face out of the corner of my eye. It was Ray, carrying a paper bag in one hand.
Ara.
Oh, hi Towa. You got a free award by Ray. Be happy. What are you doing here?
Yo.
Just wondering. You? On my way back from Tajima's. She gave me a bunch of stuff, so I thought I would share some with Taku. Again. It was a thank you gift for helping her.
Ne.
Oh, that reminds me. I left a croquette in the fridge for you. Did you eat it? I haven't eaten it yet.
ネガティブに。いや。
As if. Yeah, I'm not surprised. He's sad.
戻らなくっちゃ。
Anyway, I'm heading back to the clinic. Alright. Move. I have no business here. And now we just get back, I guess. I returned to my apartment. When I left, the TV was on, but now the familiar static drone was gone. Instead, I could hear a faint rustling sound.
Oh, Towa.
Oh, hey, you are back. Yeah. Welcome home. I was just tidying up in here. If I put it off for too long, the whole place turned into a pixel. Isn't it already, though? Isn't it like that already?
No.
Seeing as you are here, why don't you help me out a bit? Too much of a hassle.
ネガティブに。
You could like that, wouldn't you? Figures.
それじゃあな。
Anyway, I'm not here. Out of here. Alright. And I think that's all. Most of the time they only have like one line. Let me try, but... Something on your
Yeah.
mind? Nah. Yeah, I think they mostly have like one main line. So there is no point of like asking them again. I will say the only exception in which it may be kind of fun, it will be with Inada. And now we go to Tajima's and we end this part. On one corner of the residential neighborhood sat a little old shop forgotten by time. It was a snack store called Tajima's, run for many years by a little old octogenarian lady. In most cases, the exploding casino industry forced evictions on other homes and stores. But Tajima's fought eviction every step of the way, and now it was the last of its kind in this area. Fortunately, Tajima was popular with middle-aged folks looking for a nostalgic taste of their youth, plus it attracts younger people curious about traditional snacks. Every now and then, I would stop by and grab some. I wasn't a big fan of junk food or anything, but for some reason the shop felt like home. I woke up, stopped at the door and peered inside. The cramped interior was packed to the gills with sweets and snacks of every kind. Hidden among them was a white-haired, stony-faced woman, standing as still as a statue. She sounded irritated. Reluctantly, I stepped inside. But though she may have looked angry, she was always like that. Towa! Hanging on the wall above the clutter was a painting with a layer of black over it. Doesn't this look like the canvas from at the beginning of the game, like the screen menu? Doesn't it look like that? I kept wondering about it every time I came by. It was the one thing that didn't feel homey like the rest of the store. Maybe the owner just liked spooky stuff. She snapped at me as I stood there without browsing. Is it hiding something? I just noticed this the first time I played, like this black canvas was the same that the one in here. I just noticed that, like the first time I played. It was interesting. Her smoke was a deep dark brown. Not once ever I have seen it waver. I grabbed some stuff at random and brought it to the counter.
たくこの町は日に日に変わっていってるよ。いつか本当に滅びてなくなっちまうんじゃないかとヒヤヒヤしてるんだよ私は。
She made it to herself as she picked away on her antique cash register. This old man was one of the few who had lived ever since before Shinkomi became a casino resort, and she knew what it used to be like. She would always blunder on and on regardless of whatever anyone was listening. But some people found value in her stories of the old days.
昔はここまで汚らしい町じゃなかったのにね。それこそ純朴そうな小娘の面倒を見てやったりもしたのに。今は男も女もアバズレで溢れ返ってるよ。あんただってその一人なんだよ。分かってんのかい？
Wow, thanks for being brutally honest. Wow, I forgot this line. I nodded absently. Truth to be told, I liked her. It felt like she was the only person still living in the old times while the whole world changed around her. Because of that, she was an outsider here.
毎日誰が殺した殺されたで死体を見ても何とも思わなくなっちまってるんだ。狂ってるよ。ヤクザの言うこと聞くくらいなら私はこの店を守って死ぬよ。240円だ。
I pulled a 1,000 yen bill out of my pants pocket and handed it to her.
釣りは取っといて。
いいのかい？
ああ。
These moments are kind of cute because guys have already seen how he usually is for the most part. You can get a more or less vague idea. So these kind of moments, he kinda cute in his own way.
毎度どうも。
She took the money without complaint. She handed me my items without a bag, and for the first time I stopped to look at what I bought. Then I stuffed it all into my coat pocket and headed for the door. I cannot read. As I stepped outside, however, I realized the old lady had followed me out.
また来とくれよ。
She muttered under her breath with a scowl. I waved, then turned and set off down the street. And I need to drink more water. Hey, 2:30 a.m. Late that night, Taku, Ray, and I paid a visit to the local diner. Taku had promised to buy Ray a parfait, and tonight it was time for him to pony up. That said, the three of us usually ended up at this diner anyway, since it was still open when the clinic closed. It was downtown at the time, so they invited me over the phone. I was downtown at the time, okay. When we sat down at our table, Taku ordered the Salisbury steak special. Ray got the steak fried rice and a parfait, and I got a coffee. While they ate their food, I slowly sipped my drink. It was pretty commonplace for me. And yet, every time it happened, like clockwork, Ray would tell me how it's not healthy and it's going to kill you one of these days. Sure enough, I could hear him grumbling about something, but the moment they put his parfait down on the table, his whole face lit up.
もうここのストロベリーミルクパフェ本当に美味しい。
Ray is like a ray on sunshine in this game. He's like the only one that is kind of happy, that has like a happy kind of vibe in this city. Precious bean. He squeezes his eyes sad and squeaking in delight.
毎度毎度そんなに喜んでもらえたら作った人も作りがいがあるってもんだな。
Taco sipped his post-diner coffee with a rye green. He wasn't a big fan of sugary stuff, so he couldn't really relate.
毎度毎度喜ぶからもっとたくさん美味しいスイーツ作ってって感じ。
Does he remain happy? You will have to keep watching and it will have to keep playing for you to find out. Ray stirred his parfait with his spoon, a dreamy smile on his face. This only lasted until I put a cigarette between my lips and started to light it.
ちょっとまだ食べてるんですけど。
I don't understand why YouTube blocks on messages. I said it and block me, I think. No. Okay, I will check settings later and see if I can eliminate or delete most of this whatever they have for this. That doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, Alex.
うんじゃないわよ。
喫煙席だろここ。
マナーってものがあるでしょ。タクだってもうやめたんだし、あんたもいい加減やめなさいよね。
吸ってた俺が言うのもなんだが、タバコは100害あって一理なしだぞ。
I ignored the complaints, lit my cigarette, and took a drag. Instantly, Ray's smoke went from yellow to red, midlit with the cigarette smoke.
本当にもう、トワは酒とタバコばっかり。あんなにいい絵を描くのに、実態なんてこんなものよね。
If you see the photo, that's too... Knife chat? Okay, I can see it now. That's so weird. Okay, I can see that now. Let me do that on here. Okay, I can see it now. Sorry, I didn't realize that. That's so weird. Ray let out an exasperated sign. Sulking, he put his elbow on the table and his chin in his hand.
歴史上の有名な画家も変人が多いからな。ある中から異常な女好きまで様々だ。どこかしら変わってるから芸術面では突出してるってこともあるんだろ
う。なのかしらね。でもそばにいたらすごい嫌よ。迷惑よ。今身をもって体感してるわ。
トワに関してはもう諦めろ。昔からこういうやつだ。
Sorry, my messages weren't up to your standard yet. but Alex, it was the harsh truth.
その割には可愛い趣味があるのよね。
A devilish grin crept on Ray's face.
趣味？
部屋にずっと置いてあるウサギのぬいぐるみを興味ないとか言うくせに捨てないじゃない？実は好きなんでしょ。
いや。
I did have a bunny plushie in my apartment, but I wasn't particularly attached to it. This, in here, in this corner, this bunny. I just randomly spotted it at a store one time and I wanted to buy it, so I did. I haven't really touched it or thought about it since, and now it's sat collecting dust in the corner.
夜はこっそり抱いて寝てたりするんじゃないのか？
やだ、とあったらそんな可愛いところあるの？
Go with his go. Hasta to send me Ray join in. Ignoring their idiocy, I turned away and took another slow drag on my cigarette.
そういえば今日はデスマッチには行かないのか？
今日はお休み。チームメンバーの都合もあるからね。
そうか。
The Deathmatch area was a special section of the town located in District A, at the center of Shinkoumi. It was a ground zero for a lot of Takasato Gumis in fighting. As a result, the whole district was torn apart and residents were barred entry. Naturally, this attracted a lot of city types. Eventually, it became known as a place for fist fights, and people started using it as a battlefield to test their strengths. Anyway. Nowadays, anyone who wanted to fight could meet at District A to take part of what was now referred as a deathmatch. Of course, the Takasato Gumi had noticed this, but they chose not to interfere. Here in Shinkomi, plenty of people were frustrated by the tyranny of the Takasato Gumi, not to mention the struggles of living in poverty. So the Takasato Gumi let them have their death matches in District A if it meant they could vent their stress. Their one restriction, they could hassle anyone who tried to live there or start a business there. Other than that, the Takasato Gumi didn't get involved. Believe it or not, taking part in death matches was something of a hobby for Ray. He always went with his babies from Roost. Supposedly, they were actually among the top contenders, but death matches weren't my thing, so I didn't know if that was true. Judging from their looks, you couldn't think they were seasoned fighters, except for the rare occasions they turned up sporting cats and braces. I cannot
楽しんでやってるなら構わんが、あんまり羽目を外すなよ。最近じゃデスマッチも昔より悪質な奴らがうろついてるらしいじゃないか。
まあね。でもそういう奴らもまとめて吹っ飛ばすのが楽しいのよ。スカッとするわ。
そうか。 ま、しばらくは高里組も荒れるだろうから、お前たちも気をつけろよ。上の連中はともかく、チンピラどもがトラブルを起こすかもしれん。
そうなったら拳で鎮圧しちゃうから大丈夫。
To prove his point, Red flashed up his feet. Taku grinned greedily.
拳を振るうのはデスマッチだけにしとけよ。
もちろんパフェおごってもらったし言うこと聞きます。美味しかった。ありがとう。大満足。
I once heard someone say, I don't remember who, say TBH out loud instead of to be honest, and I cringed very hard. I know this is localization and it kind of fits Ray's personality, but don't go outside saying this kind of things out loud. Like, come on. In a blink, Ray had polished off his parfait. He set down his spoon with a satisfied smile. One day I will get better at reading English out loud. One day.
それじゃ、明日もあるし帰るか。
そうね、また明日。とはちゃんと寝なさいよ。このまま飲みに行ったり男を引っ掛けに行ったりしちゃダメだからね。
うん。
Very convincing, very. With an non-comical response, I crushed my cigarette in the ashtray. Certo. Taku rose to his feet, grabbed the check and took it over to the register.
ごちそうさま。
Right as Ray got out, he suddenly turned back to me.
あら、そういえばあんたもおごりなの？
コーヒーしか飲んでないからな。
I mean, yeah, if he only orders coffee every time, it's not that much. Whenever we went out to eat, Taku could always pay for my order, probably because it was only one extra drink. Ray donned a melodramatic frown and glanced at me out of the corner of his eye.
なんかあんたって周りから妙に甘やかされてるわよね。フラフラしてて危なっかしいからかしら。野良猫みたいな感じ？
さあな。
I shrugged and together we headed for the exit. Second scene of the first chapter done. Let's go. The next day, I wasn't scheduled to work at the cleaning, so I woke up around noon. Taku came to my room on his break and invited me to lunch. Ray wasn't scheduled to work until later in the afternoon, so he wasn't around yet. I got dressed, then accompanied Taku out of the building. The manager set down 2 mugs of coffee, followed by 2 plates of their famous honey toast. Once everything we ordered was on the table, he bowed quietly and headed back into the kitchen. In these parts, Yonagawa Cafe was a popular lunch spot. Or should I say cafe? The setting is pretty neat. It's one of my favorite locations of the game. Like, compared to the rest of the places you can go, it's like a pretty calming, like neat place to be. Also, just you wait a bit. The place first opened over 20 years ago, and the building's retro, outdated style offered its own special charm. It was about a 5-minute walk from Murase's clinic, so I often found myself here. It all started when I was walking by one day and saw the dimly lit interior throughout the front windows. It caught my interest, so I went in, and the rest is history. The cafe always played jazz music over the speakers, and the customers were relaxed. Their prices were relatively high, but seeing as they were still in business, they clearly had enough regular customers to keep them afloat. Look at this! Wouldn't you love to go and try this? It looks so good. This is one unexpected thing from this game. It has food drawings that look so good. It has a lot of food art. Too much butter though. Still, I think it looks pretty nice. It's not that much. Take into account that this is a thick bread, like this kind of bread in usually like a normal toast in other countries tends to be half of it. So I think it's for the amount of bread, it's fine. The cafe's biggest selling points: freshly ground coffee and honey toast. Even tacos liked their toast, and he was notoriously uninterested in sweets.
さ、食べるか。いただきます。
It looks so good. He pressed his hands together to say grace, then picked up his knife and fork and started cutting up the toast. The bread was like 3 or 4 C's. With some coffee sounds nice. I told you this place would be like really nice to visit. Because that toast, I want to try that toast. I crushed my lit cigarette in the ashtray and took a sip of my coffee.
ここのは本当にうまいよな。
甘いの苦手でもこの店のは平気なんだろ。
ああ、この蜂蜜の自然な甘さとパンの焼き加減がガキの頃によく食べたパンケーキに似ててな。ってお前こそ普段はほとんど食べないくせにここのハニートーストは食べるよな。
なんとなく。
なんだそりゃ。
Laughing, Taco slid a forkful of toast into his mouth. In a blink, he had somehow already eaten half of the damn thing. Only then did I finally pick up my own knife and fork and start eating.
でさ、もうすっごいやつがいたらしくてさ。
I forgot about this dude. What are you wearing? What is he wearing?
なんだよ、すっごいって。何がすごいんだよ。
Also, the fact that even these side characters have their own sprites and their own voice, I think it's pretty neat. Usually in visual novels, these kind of side characters don't have voice and usually maybe have like a generic sprite, so I think this is pretty neat. As we were busy eating, the conversation from the table next to us carried over, filling the silence.
すごいっつったらすごいんだよ。強いんだって。すごい強かったらしいんだよ。
My dude, can you say something else? Like, that is not sugoi? High production value? Yeah, it is.
そりゃ、高里組ってデスマッチの参加者で強いやつを引っ張ってきてるんでしょ。強くて当然だろう。
For a fraction of a second, Taku fell still.
いや、もっとだよ。もっと強えの。
もっと
真顔で何人も殴って沈めてくくらいの、そういうマジでヤバいやつだったらしくて、どうも組を裏切ったらしいんだよ。
マジで？
そう。で、兄貴を殺して逃げたって。
兄貴？兄ちゃんってこと？
ちげえよ。あれだよ、ほら、杯がうんたらかんたらって、そういう兄貴。
なあ、そういう兄貴。でもさ、それってすごい不義理ってやつじゃね？やばいんじゃねえの？
やばいよ。だから組のやつらに制裁されて、もうこの世にいないって話だけどな。
制裁。おっかねえ。高里組なら人の一人や二人くらい簡単に消せるだろうしな。
Taku finished eating his honey toast in silence, but his expression looked stiff, probably due to the subject matter. In this town, you couldn't walk 2 steps without hearing someone gossiping about the Takasato gumi. Some of it was true, a lot of it wasn't. But like a game of telephone, a lot of details got lost along the way, so only a small fraction knew the facts. The guys next to us were just recruiting staff they hear from elsewhere. Almost every rumor was tarnished with embellishments born of speculation or assumptions, and this one was no different. It wasn't easy to discover the undervanished truth buried beneath. For example, I could never know the real Taku, and he would never know the real me. Just because we would know each other for years didn't mean we understood everything about each other. Then the subject changed to something else, and a few minutes later the two guys left to pay their bills. Hi, Lugu. Once they were gone, Taku finally broke his bitter silence.
大人気だな、高里組は。
I get my cold toast without responding. He eats so little and so slowly that the toast is already cold. He doesn't eat too much in general, but it pains me so much. That toast looks so good. How could you, Towa? As it happened, I knew the guy they were gossiping about. A lot about him, in fact. Believe it or not, that fight happened when I was still in the gang. But I didn't want to remember him, so I actively avoided thinking about his name or his face.
他に話したくなるような楽しいことがないんだろ。
That's going to take a long while. I shrugged and Taku nodded slightly, still grimacing.
そうかもな。
Meanwhile, unpleasant memories rose to mind. I first joined the Takasato Gumi band when my mother died. When I was in middle school, she died in an accident. Then, a yakuza named Sakaki came and told me she was his gang's little mistress. There, I learned that his name was Takasato Ryujiro, and he was my father. As a kid, I only knew Sakaki as a good friend of my mother's. I never knew he was in a gang. After her death, he tried his best to look out for me. Then one thing led to another, and I joined the Takasato Gumi. No real reason. He invited me to join, so I figured I would. To him, my mother was a dear friend, and he could always reminisce about her. Because of that, he didn't feel like some yakuza, he felt like family. As for my actual family, I couldn't remember much of them or anything that happened prior to my mother's death. I vaguely recall that I had a little sister, but I couldn't remember what she looked like. At the time my mother's accident, I was injured and sent to the hospital. Maybe that had something to do with it. I struck the eye patch over my right eye. That was covering my right eye. There was no point in looking back. It was all in the past. Had to go fry some eggs, toast, and grab coffee after the coffee. Fair enough. I mean, it looks really nice. Even without my childhood memories, I was still right here, living and breathing. Making people hungry. The amount of times I want to make something like this on my own. And there are even more food pictures to come, or more like food drawings, but I looked down at the table. Taku had stapled his fork into my cold, half-eaten honey toast. Then, without batting an eye, he dragged it over to his own plate.
食べるのか?
お前どうせ残すだろ。
So true, Taku. He made it sound like he was entitled to eat my leftovers. I mean, he's probably paying for your part anyway. He have a point though. I wasn't planning to eat the rest, but still. I let my knife and fork to rest. Then I lit a cigarette, took the longest possible drag, and blew it all back at him.
おいやめろ。せっかく禁煙成功したってのに。
Grimacing Taku waved a hand in front of his face.
本当に成功したかどうか試してるんだよ。
今やるな今。食事中だぞ。
I fixed him with an in-piece grin, scolding he went back to the rest of my honey toast. As he wolfed down a few more bites, I shrieked at him.
なんだ。
よく食うなと思って。
お前が小食すぎるんだよ。
He wiped his mouth roughly with a napkin and rose from the
ほ
table.
ら、行くぞ。
He grabbed the check and headed over to the register to pay. I crashed my cigarette in the ashtray, then following after him. After we left the coffee and parted ways with Taku, I wandered around town for a while. Then, once the sun set, I headed to the park. The place was deserted on a winter night, and the white glow of the street lamps made it look even more desolate. I sat down on the chilly metal bench and lit another cigarette. My man lives out of drinking coffee, drinking alcohol, and smoking. That's Towa basic diet. I wasn't ready to go home yet, so I was trying to kill time. No! As I watched the pale smoke float up into the dark sky, I heard a commotion in the distance. Several pairs of footsteps were approaching, and when they passed under a street lamp, I recognized them instantly.
ほら、やっぱりトワだ。
This is the dude. He's the reason why I cannot try to even stream this on the other platform.
おお、本当だ。トワさん。
Kotaro, Matthew, and Eiji were three guys I knew very well. They walked right over to me.
お前、よく見えるよな。真っ暗なのにあんな遠くから。目めっちゃいいの俺。超くっきりはっきり見えるよ。
Matthew, it's all your fault!
アニメばっか見てるのに謎だよその視力。むしろアニメで鍛えられてるのよ。
His sprite!
何やったんだ?
His sprite has this on display 24/7. There is no way I can stream this on the other platform. You understand now? He's the reason. Not all the other scenes. I can cover that up or whatever, but You! Anyway, Towa, what are you doing? What are you out here? Okay. That muscular Kotaro bent over to get a look at my face. You could say he had a wild side or a short temper, depending on how you look at it. Why is he flashing? Because he doesn't care. He is just vibing. You can say that. He's just vibing.
ぼんやりしちゃってよからぬ妄想でもしてた?
Mayo cackled around the lollipop in his mouth. He was the tallest and leanest of the three, and he dressed like he found his glove in the dumpster.
景気づけに一発爆弾でもどうですか? 目覚めますよ。
The guy in the beanie was Eiji. He was an expert at information gathering and bomb assembly. Using the power of social media, he had a blast information network he used to collect all kind of intel. I had slept with Kotaro and Mayu a couple times out of boredom, but never with Eiji. He told me he wasn't really into sex stuff. Kotaro's smoke was red, Mayu was fuchsia, and Eiji was blue-green color.
別に一服してただけ。
暇ってことがならデスマッチエリアに行かねえか。
With a grin, Kotaro straightened up and jerked his chin in the direction of District A.
面倒だからパス。
言うと思ったとは絶対言うと思ったよ暇ならいいだろう付き合えよ元兄弟のよしみでよ
お前と杯を交わした覚えはないな。
Kotaro, Mayu, and Eiji were all former guns for hire that got recruited to the Takasato Gumi. Kotaro and Mayu were scouted via Deathmatches after they proved their fighting skills. As for Eiji, supposedly he got invited to join after he had the social media accounts and websites for one of the Takasato Gumi's businesses. Of course, they were by no means the only people recruited this way. In fact, I had heard of people taking part in these matches specifically to try to get in with the gang. They were by no means the only people recruited this way. Okay.
杯って言えばよとは親父の葬式に来なかっただろ
Kotaro smirked.
行くわけない。
今日の昼に葬式があって昨日は通夜だったんだよ
全然興味なしって感じですね。
ああ。
I sincerely didn't. What did it matter to me if some total stranger kicked the bucket?
いやそれよりデスマッチエリアだ行こうぜ行ってみたら意外と楽しいかもよ
ないな。
もういっそのこと全部爆弾で吹き飛ばすってのはどうです？そしたら一瞬でみんな楽しくなりますよ。
何がだバカ
I love Eiji. Kotaro snorted and flicked Eiji's forehead.
ごたくはいいから行こうぜとはほら立てよ
He grabbed my hand and hauled me up against my will. Once he had his mind set up on something, it was impossible to get him to change it. He kept a firm hold on me as we walked, like he was worried I was gonna bolt.
俺らは上からデスマッチに参加するなって言われてっからよなんもできねえがお前は好きなだけ参加できるじゃねえか羨ましいなおい元参加者として体がうずくぜ
借金の取り立てで普段から好きなだけボコボコ殴ってるだろ
True.
それはお仕事だし返さないアホが悪いね
でもいつも楽しそうに追いかけ回してるじゃないですかお二人とも僕も怖くって怖くって
Is this gonna go bad? No. What kind of bad are you talking about?
嘘つけ借金野郎の弱みやら個人情報やらかき集めるのお前の仕事だろうが
はいそれはもちろん新興味の情報なら任せてくださいあと爆弾も
Legit on a big cheesy smile and Kotaro scoff. Here in Shinkomi, as the poverty gap widened, many were burdened with large debts. Any debtor unable to make payment was mercilessly hounded by Takasato-kuns. And if the debt reached a certain size, the debtor could get a chip known as a web tag implanted in them. Web-tagged debtors were then tracked via a surveillance tower erected all over Shinkomi. They were forbidden to set foot outside the city until the debt was repaid. If they tried to leave, the Takasato Gumi could send pressures to hunt them down and kill them, no question asked. You might wonder how the gang got their money back if the debtor was dead, but corpses had plenty of monetary value.
ねえ、行くなら早く行こう。帰って録画しといたアニメ見たいんだよ。
As you can see, it's a very beautiful place to live in. Now, Mayu was already looking away like he had lost interest in the conversation.
うるせえな、このアニメオタク。
っていうか、あのスズメ、ポップコーン頬張りすぎね。欲張りすぎだよ。破裂しそう。
あ？どこだよ。見えないっつうの。お前の異常な視力で見えるもんは普通の人間には見えねえんだよ。
みんなも俺みたいにアニメ見ればいいのよ。アニメ見ようよ。
見ねえよ。
か。
Trapped in Kotaro's type grip and stuck in the middle of their inventor, I left the park behind. Everything will be fine. What anything about the setting makes you think things are going to be fine. District A, also known as the Deathmatch area, was a place forbidden to the average citizen. Not that they would want to visit. Because no normal people ever come around, nearly all shops have closed their doors for good. The deeper you travel into the district, the rougher and dirtier the city became. The place was busiest at night. Was on a spoken rule that was when everybody saw it up. Everybody saw it. As for the four of us walked to the head of District A, the sound of scuffing and jeering grew louder.
おお、今日も派手にやってんな。
Sounds like a nice place to live. Yeah, very, very full with life. I don't think the game will have a game over this early. So, Kotaro Green here, unlike anywhere else, the air smells of dust and copper. I know this game sounds like it has a lot of bad endings, but do you really think they will have a bad ending this early in the story? I mean, I know some games usually have that, but this is not that kind of game. And unlike anywhere else, everyone's smoke was full of chaotic energy that killed you instantly. Luckily for you, this game, you have to earn your reason to die, kind of thing. The countless colors shift and blur together like an aura of react crayons. Also, let me tell you, the bad endings here, or like the bad scenes, like game over, they are not neat.
平和平和。この間の見せしめが効いたね。
Like, compared to that, dying in the deathmatch area, it's not that bad compared to the other things that happened to him. I will let you know that. The deathmatch area is not as bad as what the game has prepared.
見せしめ？ああ、銃ぶっ放しまくってたやつか。まあ、吊るしといたからな。
銃は使用禁止になったのか？
Eiji shook his head in response to my
い
question.
え、使用禁止という明確なルールは作ってません。相変わらず暗黙の了解状態ですよ。そのせいか、負けたことが悔しくてどうしても勝ちたい、復讐したいって新参者が銃を持ち込むことも増えてきてるんですけどね。
Technically, deathmatch rules permitted the use of weapons. However, weapons gave the armored fighter a huge advantage over the unarmed. so there was an implicit agreement among the participants not to bring any. Nevertheless, as Eiji said, some came armed regardless. This type of were seen as cowards, and they were sometimes lynched as a warning to the others.
この間吊るしたやつはリンチを止めに入って俺らにも銃を向けてきたからよ。そりゃぶん殴るよな。そうじゃなくても銃や武器が絡むと試合じゃなくて戦争が始まっちまう。
そういうアホを見つけたらボコって持ち込んだ武器と一緒に吊るしとくとね、それなりの効果があるんだよね。
もしデスマッチが戦争になったら、その矛先は必ず高里組に向きます。それじゃ新興味がめちゃくちゃになっちゃいますから。どんなに混沌としているように見えてもバランスは大事ですからね。
みんなが平和に暮らすためってとこか。
As I listened, I thought to myself, what does peace even look like here in Shinkomi? Once you fell into the depths of hell, you couldn't be climbing back out again. No, you had to make your peace down here. And our little rock bottom society played by its own rules. I was merely a cog in the machine. But believe it or not, I kind of liked it down here. Nothing worth caring about, nothing that could tie me down. In that sense, yeah, maybe it was peaceful. I nearly ring of onlookers started to cheer, and I looked over. A rainbow of smoke buried together, flaming wildly. But I watched it all with cold indifference. So I kind of have to check something real quick. Okay. After I left the deathmatch area, I was sitting in some random bar getting drunk when my phone buzzed. Hold on, I'm sorry. I need to check something. No? Okay. There was a new message in the group chat between me, Ray, and Taku. What do you think? Towa depends if I feel like it. I knew I would say that, no. Day to take out, so one of us is there. No. Okay, normal conversation before that. Got a call about a critical patient. Come here ASAP. ASAP. Got a call about a critical patient. Come here ASAP. That's faster to say. As it happened, I was thinking of going home anyway. Cigarette between my lips, I paid my tab and walked out. A few minutes after I arrived back at the clinic, Ray showed up. The patient was gravely injured, but this was not ordinary patient. A group of men, possibly the guy's buddies, carried him in through the back entrance. His shirt was stained red with blood. All of them were wearing flashy clothes with lots of accessories. These weren't innocent civilians, these were Yakuza. Most of many medical facilities in Shinkomi claimed to refuse service to gang members. In reality, a lot of them accepted those same patients behind closed doors, and this clearly was one of them. We were so often visited by Yakuza, you could think Taku was one of them. Word on the street was he had earned the Kasatogumi's trust. Sometimes he could suddenly close the clinic or change office hours just to accommodate these special patients. Out of respect for his civilian patients, he made the gang bring their Gunden in through the back, but it was an open secret at this point. This didn't scare off any of his regular patients, however. Doctors as good as Taku were hard to find. Besides, the residents of Shinkomi accepted that these things came with the territory of living here.
服を脱がせますね。
With permission, Ray began to remove the patient's shirt as he lay on the exam table. The man was sweating bullets, gritting his teeth to endure the pain. Stabbing him revealed a stab wound on his side covered in blood.
出血がひどいが傷はそれほど深くなさそうだ。
Robin Taco examined the cat, then started patching him up. Ray and I assisted him as needed, following orders as he gave them.
よし。
After he finished administering first aid, Taku let out a long sigh. The patient had regained a lot of color in his complexion compared to when he first arrived, and he seemed calmer now.
痛みはどうですか？もし辛いようなら休んでいった方が。いや、いい。
Granting, the man tried to push himself into a sitting position. Taku held out a hand to stop him.
急に動かない方がいいですよ。
手当てが終わったら戻ってこいって上に言われてるんでね。
Ignoring Taku's request, the man sat himself up regardless. Then, clutching his bandaged side, he slowly hopped down off the exam table. Even though I'm reading these parts, I think you guys should also read the text, just in case.
世話になった。すまねえ。
Taku didn't bother trying to stop him. He knew precisely what kind of world this man lived in. The man snatched up his neatly folded shirt and started walking, pressing his hand against the wall for support. Pressing his hand. He left, accompanied by his associate.
見送ってくるわ。
Ray hurried after them. They could be leaving through the back, the same way they came in. The man's medical expenses could be billed to the Takasato Kumi directly. As Taku and I tied up the medical equipment, Ray came back into the exam room and let out a big sigh. Can I steal your job? You are just lazy. You are just lazy.
仕方がない。無理に引き止めることもできないからな。
もちろん分かってはいるんだけどね。あんな状態で返すのって本人の意思だから仕方がないんだけど。
患者が望まないのであれば俺たちができることは何もない。
うん、そうなのよね。
Ray nodded to him, sent sadly his eyes on the floor. This sort of thing didn't happen every single day, but it was still fairly frequent. Judging from his stat gun, the patient probably got embroiled in some sort of fight. But Yakuza weren't the only ones who had to worry about physical danger. Everywhere you looked, this city was dripping with death and violence, the product of pent-up rage that no one knew how to allay. By this point, the line between Yakuza and civilian had blurred beyond recognition.
あとはもう大丈夫かしら。
ああ、来てくれて助かったよ。急に呼び出してすまなかったな。
いいのよ、気にしないで。
あと、明日の炊き出し、よろしくな。
はーい。
炊き出し？
The unusual phrase gave me a but Taku rolled his eyes.
先週から言ってただろう。忘れたのか？路上生活者や仕事が見つからない人たちを支援するボランティアのイベントだよ。
He forgot. Come to think of it, I vaguely remember that conversation. Stuff I didn't care about generally wasn't a priority to me.
よろしく頼むな。あとは俺がやるから帰っていいぞ。
At his prompting, Ray and I left the room.
あ、とは。
Right as I was about to head to my apartment, Ray stopped me.
最近絵の方はどうなの？誰かいいモデルは見つかった？
いや、今のところは。
I shook my head. Ray was referring to my article on the fourth Face. Rust company blog. Recruiting potential art models. Outside of being an all-around degenerate. I forgot that line. Art was my sole hobby, specifically oil painting. Ray liked my work a lot. When he saw his boss at Rust, the guy decided he wanted to display all my new pieces in his establishment. That said, I couldn't paint a thing without a model, and not just any model, one who met my specific requirements. The manager of Rust liked to appraise and collect paintings as a hobby, and he wrote about all sorts of artists on the company blog, both professional and amateur. He also invited artists to send in photos of their submissions, which he could post on the site. And if he really liked the piece, he would display it in the bar. Periodically, articles would go up seeking models for my work. My artist alias was Euphoria, chosen for me by Ray. I didn't care too much, but apparently Euphoria had a unique style that attracted a considerable cult following. So whenever my model request went up, I would always get a handful of responses. It was more of a steady trickle than a torrent, so I only checked my inbox whenever I felt like it. It didn't matter how interested the model was. If I wasn't interested in them, I couldn't paint them. And lately, I wasn't interested in any of the people who emailed me.
早く新作書いてよね。一ファンとして楽しみにしてるんだから。それじゃ、おやすみ。
The wink. With a playful wink, he strode off into the staff room, humming a jaunty tone as he went. As for me, I took the elevator to the third floor and went into my apartment. Then I switched on the TV, flopped onto the sofa, and grabbed my half-finished bottle of booze off the floor. After the look and alcohol flowing down my throat, I grabbed the pack of cigarettes on the coffee table and lit one. This man smokes so much. Gazing up at the faint illumination of the flickered TV on the ceiling, I slowly exhaled the smoke. According to the clock of the wall, it was nearly 3 a.m. But I still wasn't sleepy, so as I took another drag of my cigarette, I contemplated popping some sleeping pills. First scene. Go down. Oy. The next day, Taco shook me awake and dragged me out to help with the volunteer soup kitchen event. But even then, we still couldn't compete with the dozens upon thousands of people who compete, with the thousands of people who had come to avail themselves of charity. Some of them volunteers looked like gangster or host club workers. Some of them were. What a nice place. Some had shown up of the sheer boredom, some were generally trying to do some good, while others were just trying to improve their public image. Then Ray turned up, the soup kitchen began. We landed pork and veggie soup from a big pot into a little styrofoam containers and handed them to each person in line.
あら、村瀬先生、こんにちは。
どうも、こんにちは。
相変わらず素敵ね。
いえ、とんでもないです。
As the locals passed through the line, they all said hello to Taco.
村瀬先生、この間はありがとう。
池山さん、その後、お孫さんの様子はいかがですか？
薬を飲んで寝たらすっかり良くなったみたいでな。先生のおかげだよ。
So I think I'm going to do one more scene and end it for today. Yeah, next time I will try to stream maybe instead of at 5 my time, 4 my time, so I can go for a bit longer.
それはよかった。
The locals all deeply appreciate Taku's scary nature. They struck up conversation with him one after another.
あら、レイちゃんも手伝ってくれてるのね。
あ、はーい、お手伝いに来ました。
Does a playthrough take roughly? I mean, last time when I played, it took me like 80 hours, and I was not reading out loud. So I will push this up to maybe 90 hours, 85 hours, something like that.
イケメンだから目の保養になるわね。
It's a long game.
やだ、そこは美人って言ってくれないと。
I don't think the series will go for that long, but it will take a while, that's for sure. Smiling raised a lips wrist, and the woman all giggled in delight. Like Taku, he had an affable personality that was popular with the locals.
トワ、お前も来てたのか。
A familiar voice called out to me as I lazily helped with the soup distribution, and I looked up. There stood Kotaro, Maju, and Eiji.
とは豚汁姿が様になってるね。
豚汁姿って何ですか？
Good question.
知らないよ。
お前らも来るんだな、こういうイベント。
そりゃ上からの命令だし、しょうがないよね。
榊さん、意外とこういうの好きですからね、顔に似合わず。
榊さんの命令じゃ断れねえだろ。ってことで、飼い主待たせてるから行くわ。
Rolling his eyes, Kotaro stalked off, scratching his head.
ほいじゃ、とは
失礼します。
Eiji bowed politely, then hurried after Kotaro with Maju.
最近、高里組もこういうボランティアのイベントによく来るようになったわね。やっぱりイメージアップを狙ってるのかしら。
Ray gazed after the three stones of... Ray gazed after the three stones as he stirred the soup pot. Why that sentence was so hard to read?
榊が次期組長の座でも狙ってるんじゃないのか。
To me, it was a pretty casual topic, but Ray frowned awkwardly. He probably felt bad that my father died or something.
榊さん、次の組長でほぼ確定らしいわよ。でも、組長の座を狙ってるって言われてる人、もう一人いるじゃない？あのメガネの透かしてる方。あっちは来てないのかしら？
どうだろうな。俺は見てない。
Ray was referring to Tono Masami, the chief administrator of the Kasatogumi. Sakaki and Tono were diametrically opposed in every way, and as you might expect, they got along like oil and water. I looked in the direction Kotaro had gone and saw a group of thanks youth and guys in suits, all of them Takasato Yakuza, probably.
やっぱりライバル同士になるわけだから、顔を合わせたくないのかしらね。
俺に聞かれてもな。
I guessed out at the group of gangsters. The nervous civilians were all giving them a wide berth. The smoke that rose from the group was a string of muddy colors, but you might need to have special powers to know to avoid them. But you didn't need to have special powers to know to avoid them. Then I heard Taku calling for me and turned my attention back to the task at hand. Once the long line of people finally depiled, I know that it's supposed to be like reduced or something like that. I was massively cut loose. It was just past 2 p.m. I stood in the shade of a tree a short distance from the event space, taking a smoke break. As I stared around absently, I caught sight of a familiar man. He was wearing a grey suit and talking to the guy in charge of the charity event, Sakaki. He seemed to sense my gaze. He looked over his shoulder at me, then came walking over straight away.
Oh, Towa じゃねえか。
Too bad it is. The combination of the letters in that word doesn't make any sense. How do you read that? Sakaki was the Takasato's Gumi's second in command. Given his position, the younger guys all feared him, but he was always pretty nice to me. His smoke was a vibrant green color.
お前はあれか。村瀬さんのお付き合いか。
ああ、さっき小太郎たちと会った。
Dundelt? That's not going to help. I'm just going to ignore that word ever exists. No, guys, don't try. It's not going to help. Yeah, I saw Kotaro and the guys earlier.
Oh, so good.
I tried. He slid both hands into the pockets of his slacks and looked around.
まあ、たまにはこういうのもきちんと見に来ねえとな。カジノだ、セレブだってそんなことばかりやってたら足元がふらついちまうからよ。今日俺たちも後ろぐらい商売だけじゃやってけねえんだ。これからは企業としての体裁も整えていかねえとってやつだ。
He doesn't care. He shrugged off my absent response and grinned.
なんか困ったことがあったらいつでも来いよ。最大限のバックアップをしてやるからよ。映画ってのはそう長くは続かねえもんだ。いつ何時戦争が起こるかわからねえからな。なんかあったらそん時やってやってこい。
ああ。
それとお前。
He leaned in to whisper in my ear.
親父の葬儀来なかったな。
行くわけない。
だよな。お前はそう言って分かっちゃいるんだが。
There was a suggestive pause as he rubbed his neck.
まあいい。じゃあな。
Teaching new pronunciation in text. Listen, I have the bad habit of reading things in the way you should read them in Spanish. It's not going to help. It's not going to help. What? He bluntly cut the conversation short and walked off with a wave.
あ、Towa! いた!
Right as he left, Raid ran up behind me.
何? 榊さんと話してたの?
別に挨拶だけ。
Yeah, they are not the best, but getting emotes on YouTube, it kind of hard.
そう。
Squinting deviously, he watched Sakaki disappear into the distance.
あの人もよくわかんない人よね。妙に人情派っていうか、トワをすっごく構うし、息子の面倒を見る父親って感じ。
ガキの頃からの付き合いだし。
まあ、それもそうか。そういえば、もう一人のメガネの透かした方はやっぱり来てないみたい。
So Tono is not here.
でかいのが揃いも揃って邪魔だよ。
Out of nowhere, a mountain of styrofoam containers appeared, interrupting us.
だ、何かと思ったら、おばあちゃん。
Beneath the mountain of styrofoam was an old lady who was the old lady who ran Dajimas. As she held her containers, she got up at us sharply. But as soon as she laid eyes on Ray, her expression softened slightly.
なんだよあんた、いたのかい。
いたわよ。みんなのお手伝いに来たの。
まあ人手は大いに越したことはないからね。
でしょ。おばあちゃんたちの何倍も働けるからどんどん言ってちょうだい。
ああ、助かるよ。
Ray had a massive sweet tooth, so he was always buying things at Deathmatch. Because of that, the old lady seemed to have taken a liking to him.
おばあちゃん、それ大丈夫？持とうか？
いや、これぐらいどうってことないよ。他を。
わかったわ。
お！
でも気をつけてね。
I cut her. I'm sorry. I cut her. Oh no.
ああ。
As she slowly tottered off, Ray waved goodbye, then turned back to me.
イベントは16時までだからもうすぐ終わりよ。そろそろタクのところへ戻りましょう。
Together we started walking. Before long, we found Taco Slam on a bench. His hands fall on his stomach, looking mad at the sky.
Oh.
When he spotted us, he forced himself up straight. Fatigue etched deeply into the lines of his face.
お疲れ様。忙しすぎてあっという間に時間経っちゃったわね。
本当にな。お前たち何か食べたか？残り物ならまだあるみたいだが。
私はさっきもらって少し食べたわ。トワは？
いや。
He doesn't eat. I pulled a pack of cigarettes from the back pocket of my jeans.
まさかあんたのご飯それ？も
う。Sadly, yes, Ray, that's the key. Ray shot me a pointed look, and as I lifted one up. I looked over in response to my name, then Taku jerked his head to point at something. I looked in the direction he indicated and saw Sakaki standing with Kotaro, Majo, and Eiji.
さっきあいつらと話してただろ
う。ああ、話しかけられたから。
昔からの顔見知りだから付き合いやすいんだろうが、あまり深く関わるなよ。
そうね。いつトラブルに巻き込まれるかわかんないし。
Ray nodded, frowning. I looked away and didn't say anything. I wasn't trying to get in with any of them. They wanted to talk with me, so I responded, that's all. I was pretty sure Taku understood that, but because he was so paranoid about Takasato's gumi, he kept nagging me over and over. Ironic, considering how many gangsters he treated at his own clinic.
ねえ、今日はルーストに来るの？
多分。
そう。店長が珍しいお酒を仕入れたから、トワに飲んでみてほしいって言ってたわよ。あまり万人受けしない味らしいんだけど、あんたならいけるんじゃないかって。へ
え。
I was generally willing to drink just about anything alcoholic, so if he wanted me to try something, I was down for it.
今晩お待ちしております。
Ray pressed one hand to his chest and bowed like a humble butler.
あまり飲みすぎるなよ。
私が見張るから任せて。
I love Ray. Ignoring their banter, I looked out at the setting sun and exhaled a lungful of cigarette smoke. Okay, maybe I can do one more scene, I think. That was shorter than I thought it would be. Late that night, after the soup kitchen, the three of us stopped by the local diner. After that, I headed downtown. As I wandered around looking for a place to have a drink, I heard the sounds of an argument in the distance. There was a crowd of people standing in the middle of the street.
次はないと思えよ。
Through the sea of people, I could see a man in a street scoffing down at the ground. It was Tono. He was glaring down at the frightened man who had fallen to the asphalt. Then he and his cronies cut through the crowd. Are those YouTube bugs? Maybe? They don't have the same energy, but I guess so. As I walked, he stopped me standing there, and his disgruntled skull shifted to surprise. His reddish brown smoke fluttered in the breeze.
Towa.
He and his cronies walked over and came to a stop right in front of me.
こんなところで会うなんて珍しいな。飲み屋探しか。
ああ。
そうか。
He sounded completely uninterested. Then he started cranking his neck.
今の見てたのか？
少し。
近頃は借りた恩を踏み倒そうとするやつが多くてな。困ったもんだ。
He let out an exasperated sign, then donned a condescending smirk.
ところで、昨日は炊き出しのボランティアとやらにお前も行ったのか？
ああ、強制連行で。
村瀬か。純粋にボランティアとして参加するのは大いに結構なことだ。だが、昨日はうちの連中も来てたんだろう？俺たちがそんなイベントにわざわざ参加するなんて、あざといと思わないか？
I mean, he has a point. It was a loaded statement aimed scarcely at Sakaki's head. As for me, I just shrugged. Tono's lips curled in contempt.
親父が言って、組もしばらくはゴタゴタするだろうが、もし何か困ったことがあれば言えよ。助けてやる。
ああ。
It was obvious he didn't mean a word of it, and he clearly had no intention of pretending otherwise. If anything, maybe he was just mocking Sakaki's general disposition.
じゃあな。
With that, he and his goons headed off downtown. By the way, how are you guys finding the soundtrack of the game so far? I think the songs fit like this city very, very well. Likewise, I started walking without a moment's hesitation. Right, I stepped into an empty alley to avoid the crowds. However, my phone buzzed in my coat pocket. I pulled it out and checked the screen. Sinkomi Times from AC. Did the big boss die of illness? Rumors say he was sick. Takasato downtown has led to infighting, sources say. The mood is neat, gifts of jazzy German feel. Insert the symbol here. So far, pretty relaxing. I see. News. Did the big boss die of illness? Rumors say he was sick. On the 9th, Takasato's Gumi's leader, Takasato Ryojiro, died of heart failure. Or so they announced, but rumors say he was sickening in recent years. We spoke to a former gang member to get a scoop. It was a newsletter titled Sinkomi Times from A to Z to Z. Eiji sent them out to his mailing list periodically. I never asked for this subscription, but apparently anyone who traded contact info with him got added to it. His stance was, if you don't like it, unsubscribe. The newsletter mostly featured local news updates with a light sprinkling of unsubstantiated rumors, informal pulls, and other random crap. It was completely useless to me, but since he only sent them every now and then, I couldn't be bothered to unsub. So here I was. I closed my inbox and opened a new browser tab. From my bookmarks, I selected Rust block, the fourth phase. I like it to check it every now and then, whenever I felt like it. Sometimes there were really good submissions, so it was a decent way to kill some time. I hadn't checked in a while, so there were a fair few articles I had missed. Apparently, they finally copped the artist who was exclusively using oil paintings made from human remains. I was following that case for a while. Other detail I forgot. They have found evidence that he was murdering people to make paint. Honestly, if he managed to make the incoming police force get off their asses, then he must have been a pretty shitty criminal. Alas, now he could never paint again. Next, an article discussing an acrylic painter and how their style changed over time. While they started out painting interface lines in pale colors, they suddenly switched to gloomy pieces, painting predominantly with black. Comparing the two styles side by side, I could immediately tell it was a side effect of drug use. I have seen this stark style shifts dozens of times in the past, and it wasn't that uncommon. I skimmed the other articles for a while, then came to a stop at one particular artist. Artist. Phrase. Their alias phrase. It was a photograph of a wound, specifically a bloody cut somewhere on the body. I could tell damage had been retouched, but to me it looked like an ordinary self-harm cut. This is why I said heavy topics. Okay, let's keep going. And yet something was off about it. I didn't know what it was. Was it a wrist or a leg? Phrase. And here we get one of the first points. For a while, I scrutinized the image trying to work it out, then I closed it up. Since it was posted on Rust blog, the manager there would probably have more information about it. With that thought, I headed to Rust. Points is like the ones that we are going to be using at the interrogation parts later. At first glance, you wouldn't realize Rust was a bar at all. There was no sign out front, so for the most part it just looked like a tall, spindling concrete building. This is also one of my favorite places in the game, because the ambientation of it's pretty neat and the music is also very calming. As I stepped inside, the ethereal music and lighting greeted me like always. The bar was pretty packed, or at least I was having trouble seeing any empty seats. But it wasn't some sports bar for normies. The people who gathered here were of a particular inclination that naturally resulted in tight crowds. Ray walked around waiting tables. And Job, hi there! Meanwhile, the manager quietly worked the counter. Welcome. He had an unusual hairstyle and always wore a perfectly fitted black shirt. Late 40s, if I had to guess. As he crafted cocktails and was teased, he gazed around the bar. I had never seen him get emotional or speak a single word more than was strictly necessary. Likewise, his smoke was canned yellow color, like a daffodil, whatever that means. The bar was furnished with all sorts of unusual decoration and paintings. Silks and tapestries with magical motifs, porcelain dolls with cracks all over them, accessories featuring apples and holy crosses. I couldn't help but wonder where he bought this shit. Altogether, it engendered a vibe that attracted those with eccentric taste. Everyone was welcome here. That was the manager's attitude, and so it became dominant culture at Rust. Granted, the barrier to entry was still pretty high for the average normie, but from a fringe minority, it was home.
いらっしゃい。
As I walked up to the counter and I sat on an empty stool, the manager looked up from the glass he was wiping.
トワ君、待ってたよ。実はちょっと頼みがあって。
レイから聞いた。珍しい酒があるって。
そうそう。ちょっと待ってね。
He turned to the shelf behind him, grabbing a bottle and held it out for me to see.
これね、アブさんっていうヨモギのお酒で、いろんなメーカーから出てるんだけど。
I'm going to guess in Spanish this is absenta. I'm going to guess.
こっちじゃあまり出回ってないやつをフランスから取り寄せたんだよ。でも、この味は苦手な人も多いだろうから勧めづらくて。トワ君ならいけるんじゃないかと思ったんだ。ちょっと飲んでみてよ。
Please look how well this looks so nice. It looks so pretty. He poured a small amount of the green liquid into a glass. Then he set a perforated spoon on top of the glass and placed a sugar cube on top of it. As I watched curiously, he grabbed a jug of water and slowly poured it over the sugar cube and into the glass. Apparently, he was trying to melt the sugar.
そうやって飲むのが普通なのか。
伝統的な飲み方らしいよ。だけど、なかなか手がかかるんだよね。
By the time the cube was nearly melted, the translucent green liquid had gone pale and cloudy. He stirred the glass with the perforated spoon, then slid it over to me.
はい、どうぞ。
I picked it up and took a small sip. The cold liquid slid down my throat, leaving a bitterness in my mouth not unlike herbal medicine. It tasted like someone put their lawn clipping in a juicer. It was bizarre and potent.
どう？
砂糖なしでもいいんじゃないか。
He nodded, smiling.
トワ君ならそう言うと思ってたよ。その苦味と味の強さが苦手で砂糖を入れる人が多いらしいんだけどね。
度数は？
Anyone here maybe know what that means? I don't know.
60。
I guess that's the alcohol in the drink. That would explain why it's burned my throat. I could understand it lacks odd-broad appeal. Alcohol. Okay.
あ、トワ来てたんだ。
As I was taking my second sip, I hear a familiar voice.
はあ、昼間に運動したから疲れちゃった。
Ray scrolled across the bar and sat down next to me. Thought he was technically on the clock, he was allowed to sit and chat along as it wasn't too busy.
昼って炊き出しのボランティア？
You meant the soup kitchen event?
そう、タクが出るって言うから、私とトワも一緒にね。トワは私以上に疲れたんじゃない？いつもだらけてるから。
まあな。
Alcohol by volume. Oh, imagine Don dissolving the absinthe. Take into account that Towa lives out of drinking alcohol and smoking cigarettes. I don't think he cares. I snapped off his teasing. He made a show of pouting.
何よ、つまんないの。あ、それマスターが言ってたお酒どうだった？
飲むか？
Gingerly, he took the glass. Like an anxious puppy, he leaned in to sniff it.
やった。何この匂い。とはこれ飲んだの？飲めるの？
ま、普通に。
うわ。あたしこれは匂いだけでダメ。
His ambassador disgust got a cackle out of the manager.
これって薬草が原料のお酒なのよね。
Hi, Katseiru. Hi, hi. Good night. Have a nice night. Okay, thank you for passing by. Have a nice sleep.
そうだ。
植物か。
Plants you.
レイ君って植物嫌いだったっけ？
うん、花は大好きよ。でも植物って見てる分にはいいんだけど、腐ってくるとすごい匂いになるじゃない。だから自分じゃ買ったり育てたりする気にならないのよね。
なるほどね。腐臭っていうのはどの生き物も大体似たような匂いを発するんだよ。
Pretty nice conversation to have.
鼻に残る嫌な甘ったるさがあるっていうか、人間も植物も動物も。
Is this a backstory of homeless alcoholic? In a way. That's the way to get at that point. I mean, kind of in a way. Taking into account that the place in which Towa is living, it's because Taku let him be there. Like, even though he has a place to stay, it's not technically his, and he drinks a lot, so kind of. The subject matter contrasted sharply with his bright smile.
店長って普段は温厚だから忘れがちだけど、やっぱりこのお店の店長よね。ん？
As they talk, an image rose to the front of my mind. The gun photo from Rust Block. Flowing blood, exploded flesh, the sweet smell of decay wouldn't be too out of place.
店長、聞きたいことがあるんだけど。
どうぞ。
ブログに載ってた傷の画像。あれ、知り合い？
It's a way to say that, I guess, look.
ああ、あの画像。なかなか良かったでしょ。
何傷の画像って。私その記事まだ見てない。
レイ君、その前にお客さん、会計お願いします。
あ、はい。
Ray rose from his seat and walked over to the register.
話の続きだけど、あの画像ね。僕の知り合いじゃなくて、初めて投稿された作品なの。それで、僕も気に入ったから、作者のフレーズにメールしてみたんだけど、連絡がつかなくて。一応作品の投稿時にはメールアドレスの記入を必須にしてるんだけど、ステアドだったみたいでね。メールが戻ってきちゃうんだよ。
ブログには載せてほしいけど、素性は知られたくないってことか。
多分そうだろうね。連絡が取れたら店に作品を展示させてもらおうと思ってたんだけど、ちょっと残念だよね。
F。
また投稿があるかもしれないし、僕も誰か作者を知らないか周りに聞いてみるつもり。何か分かったらトワ君にも教えるね。興味あるでしょ。
まあ
な。だと思った。
Just drew in not just those with eclectic interests, but equally eclectic artists who sought to cultivate a following. As a result, people often come here to get or give out contact info.
お会計終わったわ。さっきの話の続き教えて。
Ray rushed back and eagerly leaned both hands on the counter.
店のブログ見てみろよ。
あ、そっか。 まずはそこからよね。オッケー。
He pulled his cell phone from the pocket of his waist apron.
ああ、この画像ね。っていうかとはこれが気になったの？これってリストカットじゃないの？
そう見えるけど違う。
違うの？手首か何かを切った後の画像にしか見えないけど、もし本当に違うならどうやって作ってるのかしら。
今トワ君にも話したんだけど、メールアドレスが捨て跡だったから連絡が取れなくてね。フレーズっていう名前しかわからない謎の作者なんだよ。
何それ、ミステリアスじゃない。ちょっとワクワクするわね。
Reshoot me a meaningful grin.
こういう人がモデルになるといいわね。せっかくあんたが興味持ったんだし、ぴったりじゃない。
そううまくはいかないだろう。
I don't the rest of the bittersweet absinthe. The next.
そうだ、レイ君。この間店でやったボディアートの相談イベント、お客さんから好評でね。
え、本当に？
ああ。それでね、定期的に開催してみようかと思うんだけど、レイ君さえ良ければどう？
やるわ。あのイベント、いろんな人の話が聞けてすっごく勉強になったの。そこからお客さんになってくれる人もいたし、またやりたいなって思ってたのよ。
The nicotine addict I mean, even though I have already seen everything, you will get my reactions again because it's the kind of a story that you get to see more details and you realize more things were set up from the start as you played over and over again. So you will get my reactions, but in a different way, I guess. Body art, also known as body modification, was one of Raid's other hobbies. Considering it was a hobby, he researched it pretty thoroughly, and he could perform all kinds of services from tattoos to implants. His work was highly acclaimed, and apparently Rust's recent body art consultation event was a huge hit too. A few decades ago, body art was frowned upon in this country, but in recent years it became accepted for people to augment their bodies. Obviously, tattoos were common, but this day, LED and icy chips were becoming mainstream too. Some of the customers here had glowing fingernails or horns growing out of their foreheads. For a lot of people, it was a fashion statement. The glowing fingernails sound interesting. About the horns on your forehead, I don't know about that. Also, hold on a second. Give me a minute. I will be back. Hold on. It's important. Sorry, machine. I'm back. I have returned. It's done. I'm sorry. It was important. Okay. Where I was. Some of the customers here had glowing fingernails from growing out of their forehead. For a lot of people, it was a fashion statement.
それじゃあまたイベントの打ち合わせしようか。
よろしくお願いします。
Tray and distilled in hand, Ray cheerfully walked off. I should probably drink water. That emote, it's so creepy. I stumbled down the street early next morning after drinking at Roost all night alone. Ray was worried about letting me leave, but I assured him I was used to it. Did he just fall? This kind of thing happened all the time. It wasn't rain for me to end up down here on the concrete either. Yes, he did. I thought I was walking straight, but everything was spinning, and the next thing I knew, I was on my side. I felt a dull ache spread through my body, but it didn't really bother me, probably because I was so drunk. Now that I was laying down, however, fatigue quickly set in. I didn't want to get up again. My eyelids dropped. I felt like gravity was pulling me down hard against the ground. I guess this is happening. Just that. Okay. With that thought, I closed my eye. And because I was so wasted, it didn't take long for me to pass out. Wow. Okay. And with that, I think it's going to be the last scene for today. Really just keep up and sleep off the ground? Yes. Yes. Okay. Save load menu. Save. Yes. I think at this point you shouldn't be surprised. Like, he doesn't have much energy on his body to begin with. But I think I'm going to leave it like that. Thank you guys so much for coming to the stream today. We are going to have this as a more or less regular series. I don't know how often. Like, I don't think I can do this daily. But if I can, like every 2 to 3 days, at least I want to stream this 2 times a week at the very least, because again, this is a very long game and I really want you guys to see the story. But yeah, as you can see, she just gave up and sleep in the ground and woke up in an unfamiliar place we haven't seen before. So what is going to happen? You guys will have to find out in the next stream. And there is a title menu. Yes. Is the plan for this to be extra stream or regular stream? These are going to be extra streams. Like, today I was not supposed to stream. Also, don't you see, it's like the same canvas as before. So yeah. These are going to be extra streams. The regular streams over and at the purple platform are going to keep going, happening at the same time as always. So yeah, don't worry. I'm just doing this because I really like this game and I really want people to see the story. We'll take up the slack on the platform. So yeah. Once again, I don't have the ending screen still on this. But yeah, you guys are going to get extra streams. Even though I don't think these are for everyone. But for those that come in and may want to enjoy the story and my poor reading skills, I hope you like it. Okay. Exit. So, extra. Yeah. Okay, it's going to end very abruptly. I'm really sorry for that. I will try to have the ending screen next time. But okay. Bye bye guys. Thanks for coming. Hope you're enjoying the story so far. Thanks for the stream. Thank you guys for coming and for staying the whole stream. Thanks. Bye bye. Bye. Y